Good morning and welcome to Business Daily. It's Workers' Days all across the globe, and we wish all the workers across the globe a happy Workers' Day. Of course, it's a new week, it's a new month, and of course, a new day as well. So we say good morning to all of you, our viewers, and welcome you to Business Daily once again. We quickly start with our top stories at this time. Take a look. Glad to have you back. A lot of things happening there in the world of business. Well, we have to bring you these top stories every day to keep you abreast with issues in the economy as well as the business world as well. So we move quickly to what is happening in the capital market. As you know, today is Workers' Day. It's a public holiday all around the world, and most stock exchanges around the world are not trading today, so they are closed for the holidays. So, but again, we will bring you up to date with what transpired on the floors of the major markets, especially from Nigeria to the rest of Africa, last week, Friday, and of course, let's see what the data are actually looking at. When you look at the Nigerian market on Friday, it closes in the positive territory. That is like 4/4 it was, if you remember too. Last week, Monday, was also public holiday for Salah celebration. So the market traded for 4 days of the week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and of course Friday. Same scenario we're going to witness again this week. So the trading will begin tomorrow until, of course, on Friday. So on Friday, the market closed positive 0.32%. It ended. The all share index there 52,403.51 basis point, and of course the market capitalization, adding a billion naira there to close at 28.5 trillion naira. The volume of shares that exchanges hands among investors on Friday, 472.13 million volume of shares valued at 4.78 billion naira, and of course in a deal that is worth 5,569 there on the floor of the capital market. A huge number of deals there, you can actually say. Quickly, let's look at the gainers on the day. Our gainers on the day, of course, we have the sovereign insurance there. After gaining 0.33 naira to close there at 10%, of course, a huge gain there. The biggest gainer of the day, of course, the beggar 7.80 there. 7.8 naira gain, of course, to close at at 9%, of course, very, very strong one. And Cadbury Nigerian PLC also closing there 13.50%. Of course, a lot of events happened there on the floor of the Nigerian capital market last week. Let's quickly look at the losers, the bottom three. We have the Curtis and a cable manufacturing firm there. They lost 2 naira 25 kobo to down there 10%, and of course Transcorp also losing 2.81 kobo of 2 naira 81 kobo there as well to close downward there at 9.94%. Of course, Champions Brewery, completing the top bottom three there at 9.71%. percent in terms of the top trade, the stock that actually moved the market on Friday. We have quite a whole lot of them. Can we look at the top trade stocks on Friday? Of course, we have the Access Bank, of course, the Fidelity Bank, of course, the United Bank for Africa. All of them topping the, topping the trade chart. There, of course, the market movers. There, of course, if you recall, many of these banks have turned in their Q1 result, what we call first quarter result. And of course, the Zenith Bank did that last week, and they recorded a huge gain of 41% in gross earnings. So there's about 270 billion naira in Q1. That is what Access Bank gained in Q1 report. And of course, if you look at it, it's actually a huge lift from them, because it's about 13% increase from where they gained the previous week. The previous corresponding quarter rather of 2022, they gained 58.2 billion rather, and now they are actually recording about 86.6 billion in Q1. That is a very, very huge number there for investors of this bank. Let's look at what the sectors are actually doing. The performance across sectors on Friday. Of course, the NGS banking doing strong there, 0.94%. Who will be surprised when you see banking sectors dominating the market movers chart? Of course, you won't be surprised. And of course, in the industrial sector, you see the like of Dangote, although not really featuring so prominent, but there's some very, very impressive news coming in the way of Dangote refinery. Of course, not yet quoted. We hope that it will be quoted once it comes up on stream, because the like of Saudi Aramco, and of course trying to see how they can actually buy stakes in Dangote refinery. Of course, Saudi Aramco is one of the biggest corporation in the oil industry globally. So we're hearing that news, though it's still in the realm of speculation, but we hope that the whole indices will actually the whole event will be unfolded in the coming days as well. So also the lack of Dangote Sugar, and of course Boa Foods have also collectively they are proposing to pay their shareholders 99.22 billion naira as dividends for their investment in the company. So if you are an investor in Dangote or Boa Cement, of course you should be smiling at this time, because they are actually proposing to pay their shareholders that huge amount of money at this time. So probably by the time their Q1 report comes in, we will know how much investors, of course, and shareholders of those companies will be expecting. So we'll be keeping tab on this, and then we'll give you updates as the event unfolds. If you look at the consumer sectors, also doing great there, 2.90%. Of course, the oil and gas not doing so well, down there 0.17%, and of course the NGS premium also down 0.59%. So these are the performance of the market sectors on Friday, based on the sectors where we have highlighted this morning. Let's quickly look at the rest of Africa. How is the market in Africa doing? Let's look at what the GSE in Joburg, South Africa, are actually doing. The market, the previous trading session, you could recall, the GSE, they actually went down briefly, but again, the bears rather couldn't sustain what really happened that day. So the market rebounds on Friday to close at 0.12%. And of course, USA in Uganda is in the eastern part of Africa, down there marginally 0.2%. And of course, Malawi Stock Exchange also down 0.21%. So Malawi is in the Central Africa. Most of them not really doing so greatly. So these are some of the performance of the market across Africa. So we definitely will give you updates. Today the market is closed, just as we told you, across Africa. The Workers' Day celebration is all across the world. So everyone is today enjoying public holiday today. So we will give you update from that, and of course we hope to cross over to the Eagle Square as well to get update from what is happening there. So but for now, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go into our discussion that is actually centered around the issues that should dominate the May Day celebration, particularly in Nigeria. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll go into that discussion. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. It's still Business Daily on Trust Television. And of course, it's Workers' Day celebration all around the world, like we told you before we went on that break. So we have a guest in the studio, Joseph Algo. He's a political and of course political and of course economic analyst as well. He joins me in the studio. Good morning. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So we hope to get the Deputy General Secretary of NLC, Comrade Ismail Bello. He is live at Eagle Square. We hope that he talked to us before in the course of the program. Mr. Joseph, good to have you again. What issue do you think should dominate discussion today on this occasion of May Day celebration in Nigeria, particularly?
I think what we have is a multiplex or a salad of issues. So it's not just one issue. There are myriad of issues that should be looked at today. There's of course the ballooning unemployment rates. We have high inflation. We have the high cost of living generally, the depreciating standards of living. We have collapsing social services. We also have the issues of minimum wage, ballooning foreign exchange, insecurity. I mean, the issues are many.
Absolutely huge issues there. But looking at what we've been talking about these issues almost at every May Day celebration. But it seems like the government of the day has not really paid so much attention to some of this concern that has been raised by workers almost every year. If you look at it, the issue of exchange rate, like you rightly mentioned, we've been discussing this for a very long time. But today, if you look at the value of Naira, it's nothing to write home about.
Yeah. So the government of the day lacks, I think, the political will to really pursue the adventure of looking for solutions to these problems. Not necessarily the lack of ideas as to how these issues should be tackled. Generally, it's just that political disconnect that exists between the leadership and the led. That's the people in power and workers, the political elites and the people in organized labor. So there is that disconnect.
Disconnect. Talking about disconnect, we've been talking about disconnection as well. Does this really mean that the leaders and the led are working in opposite direction, so to say? Because when you say disconnect, because most times during electoral campaign, we see some of these political leaders coming to meet the followers to seek for votes and the rest of them. But at the end of the day, we seem not to actually enjoy that kind of connection when it comes to real governance. Yeah,
I mean, there are two sides, and the people in these opposing sides seek to protect their own interest. So you have the elites, they are just concerned about, I mean, the other day we saw a particular state in Nigeria, discussion around pensions for governors, I mean, talking about, and of course, it's not just that. There was even a time in this current dispensation, there was that talk in the Senate around pensions for the people in the National Assembly. So the political elites, they are after protecting their own interests. The workers, of course, will not see eye to eye. They are bent and focused on protecting the overall interest of the workers or organized labor. So the opposing seems, of course, the only explanation to these constant bickering is the fact that these two sides are bent and focused on protecting their own interests.
Mr. Joseph, hold your thought there. Let's quickly cross to Eagle Square, where we have the Deputy General Secretary of NLC, Comrade Ismail Bello. He joins us via phone from Eagle Square. Good morning, Comrade.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yes, happy Workers' Day to you. A whole lot of issues today. Tell us, the last time we had a salary review for workers was in 2018. That's about 5 years ago. But if you compare the economic situation then and now, what can you tell us?
Well, today's Workers' Day is marked to celebrate the sacrifice that our community to improve the health of working people. Sacrificing social protection for one. So that is what we are marking today. And it is a very good opportunity also to put on the front corner issues affecting working people, whether it relates to the right to form union, whether it relates to the right to good working conditions, whether it relates to the right to improve wages. And as you mentioned, the last minimum wage was reviewed in 2019, and it has a 5-year cycle, which means another minimum wage will be in 2024. Whereas at the time the minimum wage was signed in 2019, nobody envisaged COVID, nobody envisaged Russia-Ukraine war, and the monumental inflation that has come around all over the world. While other countries are trying to address and mitigate the impact of inflation on people's income, Nigeria has done nothing. Only recently, the politically announced the unilateral 30% increase in wages, which we don't know how they arrived at that. What is done all over the world is to engage labor and work together constantly through a process of collective bargaining and social dialogue to improve the welfare of working people.
Oh, interesting. Your leadership is more like a new leadership, a new NLC leadership, and you've hit the ground running since you came on board. Tell us, what are the challenges that you are actually facing in terms of addressing the issues facing workers?
Well, it's fine. Leadership is a continuum. We have our immediate past president who existed in trouble, and we have a new president from Nigeria who are taking over the service. Workers' issue remains constant. As we say in labor, we say the struggle continues. The struggle for improved wages remains sacrificed. Like I said, inflation has been on the rise over the last 3 years. So it is time for wage review. We probably don't need to wait to 2024 before we start the process of the comprehensive wage review. It is time to give workers the right to take million, particularly in private sector, where many small and petty employers are denying workers the right to freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining. It is time to put social dialogue in place to find a way between labor and government and private employers to constantly review the situation and address the needs and concerns of working people.
Talking about the salary review for workers, the last time that it was done, like we said, it was 2018, and now you are your leadership 2019 rather. So your leadership is a new one, and of course, in few days from now, we'll be having a new president as well. So what are the demands that the Labour is going to present before the new president?
If you look at the theme of this year's bill is workers' rights and socio-economic justice, which means that this conference is concerned with the immediate issues of working people, with the issues of employment, with the issues of working conditions. And beyond that, we know that the management of the economy is very important. The broader issues of poverty, of unemployment, of the way the economy is managed, of energy supply, of petroleum supply and petroleum prices, we remain sacrosanct and germane in our struggle for better conditions for workers and Nigeria in general.
No, finally, before I let you go, your colleagues are already complaining about the cost of living. Some of them are even saying that they are borrowing to survive, and we have to wait again till 2014 for another salary review. Can they survive this?
We listen to me very carefully. I said the issue of the wages is a constant pain. More so than what has happened was completely unmedicated. COVID and the disruptive impact that it has had on working people, both in the former and informal economy. So this time around, I've already assured that using the instrumentality of social dialogue, which is the discussion between government, employer, and labor, should be a constant thing. And when that happens, it means that these issues will be receiving attention not later, but now. That's what it means. So we will be pushing this movement to more than ever before, embrace social dialogue, which means there will be constant discussion between workers and government, so so that at all times we'll be able to put on the front burner issues affecting workers and issues affecting everybody in Nigeria.
Comrade Ismail Bello, Deputy General Secretary, NLC, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, and happy Workers' Day.
Happy Workers' Day to you too. I still have with me in the studio political and, of course, economic analyst Joseph Algo. You have listened to him. What do you have to say to that?
I think they are very germane issues, and the place of dialogue is very, very important. You know, if you look at 2015, you know, the minimum wage was about
18,000
naira. You know, let me just say, a bag of rice then was about 8,500. So with a minimum wage, you could afford 2 bags of rice and still have some money to save.
This is 2,000 naira to save.
but with the current minimum wage and the realities in 2023, a bag of rice is about 45,000 naira. So minimum wage is not even enough to get
buy
you a bag of rice. So the harsh economic realities, so talking about high unemployment, if you look at the average civil servant, there are a number of dependents, but nuclear and extended family members that depend on that salary. You have the high cost of living. So the harsh economic reality would affect the propensity of these workers to save. I mean, bag of rice. I mean, you can't even afford a bag of rice with a minimum wage, and high unemployment. The fact that a lot of people are losing their jobs, there is that dependency on that very, very meager and stagnant source of income. So, I mean, the current minimum wage will not work. It's just going to cause problems. And the civil service, for example, is going to open a lot of people to the idea of sharp practices and corruption, just so that they can augment
but before we go, let's say in 30 or 40 seconds, instead of talking about civil service all the time, don't you think we need to expand, open up this economy? They're complaining that Nigeria is more of a consuming nation. We're not producing as we should. But don't you think by expanding the economy, we'll be able to accommodate everybody? And of course, this issue of minimum wage and of course, difficulties in the economy will be a thing of the past.
I know, of course, I've always been an advocate of expanding the economy and enabling the private sector. But what I would like you to know, the civil service has a vital role to play. The civil service is the brain and heart of the economy. And of course, we have the Orensaye report, for example. So we need to look at retooling and redeploying and taking this mostly redundant civil service system that we have and make it even more productive. And of course, even though we have had discussions around, I mean, the last review was in 2019. How many states have implemented minimum wage? As a matter of fact, some states are owing salaries.
Absolutely.
And the private sector too. So there is the place of the federal civil service providing that leadership. And once there is that leadership, it's going to just trickle down.
Thank you so much, Joseph Ango, political and economic analyst. Time is not always on our side. Anytime we're having fun like this, I must appreciate your time for coming on Business Daily.
No problem. Thank you.
And that's the size of our show. Join us again tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.